Okay, so we're going to cover multiple topics in this video. We're going to do a lot of different sports news, but firstly, channel update. Firstly, April was the highest earning month for revenue the channel's ever had, so thank you very much for all the support everyone continues to give, either through super chat, super thanks, or memberships. Really appreciated. We earned nearly £50, and for this channel, £50 in 1 month. That's a big chunk of change. So we are due to get our next YouTube paycheck in a couple of weeks' time. So thank you very much for the support. Another part of the channel update, the lack of content this week. I've had no internet connectivity. Now I use a Wi-Fi mobile dongle, which is basically mobile internet. I've also run out of mobile data, otherwise I would have done some videos on my phone. But I am using a Vodafone wireless dongle, and Vodafone locally in the local area has been doing maintenance for the last 3 days. So I've had no internet. And when I do get internet, it's like 1, 2 o'clock a.m. my time. So I get limited internet over late at night. But for the majority of the time, I've had no internet due to network maintenance that Vodafone has been undertaking. It would have been nice to be informed by Vodafone, but unfortunately they decided otherwise. And so I had to go on their website on my phone using all my data to figure out what was going on, only to find out that the network was down in my local area. So that explains the lack of content. Now we've got some NHL, NRL and English football news to cover. I'm going to start with the English football news with Accrington Stanley. They have been forced to shut down their youth academy. And they are citing that it already was losing money, but they've had an ongoing battle with the local council and the local politicians in regards to their alcohol licence on non-match days and noise restrictions on non-match days as well. And so it became untenable to keep the youth system open. It was already costing them more money than it made. They were losing money on it, and they are a lower league club on a very small budget. So they've been forced to, for how long we don't know, but at this current time they've been forced to close their youth academy. And this is a club that has had financial history which is unstable. The original Accrington has gone bust. In fact, I think this is the third club in Accrington to have been going. The second club, the Phoenix club that followed Accrington Stanley, got thrown out of the Football League. And this is the third iteration of basically the original Accrington that founded the Football League way back in 1888. The club has struggled financially throughout its existence. It is on a very small budget. I think it's the smallest budget in the Football League, and they have been forced to close their youth system down, which is very troubling. Where is the support from the Football League and the FA, you may ask? So questions need to be asked about clubs receiving some sort of support from the governing bodies, and that has clearly been lacking in this area. But also the relationship between the football club and the local council and local members of parliament has also not been a good one recently, and the club statement is up online if you wish to read it. It's not a very happy statement, and there's a lot of finger pointing at local politicians, which has hurt the club basically. So they've closed their youth academy. Now the NHL, a lot of news. First time since 2004, 3 Canadian teams have made the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's the Oilers, Maple Leafs and my team, the Jets. The Oilers and Jets have broken some records in these playoffs. I think the Oilers have won the most consecutive games coming from behind to win in order to progress past the Game 7 through to the next round. I think it's 3 or 4 games in a row they won to take the series, and the Jets have scored the latest game-tying goal in a Game 7 with 1.9 seconds remaining on the clock to force overtime in Game 7 to then get the winner in overtime against the Blues to progress to the second round. Now, though, we have lost our opening match to the Dallas Stars 3-2 at home, but there's still 6 games, up to 6 games left in the series, so hopefully we can turn things around. It reminds me a little bit of 2018 in that regard. When it came to the second round, the teams playing when Jets played in 2018 playoffs, every team won the road game in the second round. So that's a one to watch. They are the President's Trophy winners. So some history being made in the NHL. But the big NHL news story is the Utah Mammoth have been unveiled. So the Utah Hockey Club has rebranded as the Utah Mammoth. Obviously, we saw that leak on their YouTube channel last week, which was then very quickly taken offline and changed back to Utah Hockey Club, and all their social media sort of went offline for a little bit. But they've unveiled their new logo, which has basically a mammoth's head with a sort of an outline of Mammoth Mountain, which is a very big high mountain in the state. I think it's the highest mountain in the state of Utah. As part of their logo is pretty cool, to be fair. Their colour scheme has remained the same. as it was this season, as the Utah Hockey Club. So they've got their road whites with the Utah wordmark, and their home jersey, which is like a dark blue with a sky blue and some white on it, and the Mammoth logo. It looks pretty slick. Their mascot will be unveiled at some point in the coming weeks. So we now know that the 32nd NHL team, which was formerly known as the Coyotes, is now the Utah Mammoth. So that's the NHL news out the way. Now the NRL news, lots of it. Where to begin? Ezra Mam is stuck in reserve grade. David Fafita is out for 4 to 6 weeks after ankle surgery. So Ezra Mam is not being brought back into the Broncos starting squad following his suspension, which was handed down by the NRL following his drug driving conviction. Magic Round last week, he was roundly booed by fans in attendance when he was shown on the big screen as part of the Broncos non-playing party on the bench. And he had that sort of arrogant, cheeky smirk, which didn't go down well as either, really. But Michael Maguire has decided to keep him in reserve grade. We don't know when he's going to be back in the Broncos main squad, if he ever gets back into the Broncos main squad. It's going to be interesting to follow the Ezra Mam situation. Now, some players moving clubs. Brandon Smith has been released immediately from his Roosters contract. He has joined the Rabbitohs half a season early. He's going to start at the beginning of next season as a bunny. He's still going to take another 4 to 6 weeks before he's match fit following his knee injury. He's still rehabbing, but the Roosters have released him early. And Dominic Young looks very likely to also being let go from the Roosters from his 4-year deal. He's 18 months in, very likely to return to the Newcastle Knights, although there are 50 other clubs that could sign him before I think it's June or July 30th, I think, is the cut-off point. But it looks very likely that Dominic Young, his playing days at the Roosters are now over. It looks very likely that Cherry Evans is most likely going to leave the Sea Eagles and end up at the Roosters. It looks likely they're cutting cap space. If they're doing it this season, we could see a mid-season switch for Daly Cherry Evans. Even though his contract runs out at the end of the season, he's obviously said he doesn't want to re-sign there and he wants to move on. So it looks very, very likely that Cherry Evans most likely ends up at the Roosters. We know Fogarty is leaving the Raiders to go to the Sea Eagles next season, so there's a lot of player movement, and it's going to be interesting to see if Cherry Evans completes the season as a Sea Eagle or ends up a Rooster, depending. But it looks very likely that the Roosters are making a lot of cap space, especially with Dominic Young being told he's free to find another club. So we shall see. There's a lot of players actually free to being released from their contracts at this point before the cut-off point, before the end of the trade window. And so it's going to be interesting. We could see a lot of mid-season player movement. We also know that the NRL is very, very seriously considering buying a stake in Super League. We also know that Nick Politis, who basically bankrolls the Roosters, is very interested in buying the Salford Red Devils, and we do know that discussions are ongoing in that regard. We know the Salford Red Devils have had ongoing money issues and could go out of business, and the current owners really shouldn't be the owners because they want to redevelop the stadium basically as a commercial and residential development, and they're asset stripping the club. But Nick Politis is very, very keen to buy the club. So we'll see what happens with the Salford Red Devils, and we'll see what happens with the Super League and what structure it looks like next season, and whether we have 12-team league, a 14-team league, a 10-team league, and what teams are in the Super League next year, because we could see some teams be forced into the Championship and we could see a contraction. Now, hopefully promotion relegation remains, but we shall see what happens with the IMG grading and all that farce. And so there we go. That is basically, in a nutshell, basically 4 videos worth in one. And it's just due to the fact that I cannot guarantee that my internet will work until 8 PM because I've been told that the network maintenance continues until 8 PM. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for sticking with us during this period. It's been a tough week. It's been a frustrating week, but there we go. We've finally got some content for you guys. Hopefully from tomorrow onwards we can get back to a normal upload schedule. I've got some video ideas rattling around in my head. There will be a obviously the round review of the NRL games in round 10 on Sunday as normal. Unfortunately there was no review this week because of the lack of internet, but there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on all the things we've discussed and any other sporting stories that I haven't covered. Please place them in the comments section below. But for me for now, thank you very much for watching, and I will have, obviously, fingers crossed, more content for you all very, very soon.